Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Steuben County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory video cast. Enjoy. Library Connections number 88. This is the Friday, February 11th, 2022 edition of Library Connections. Jumping right in with the top 5 fiction bestsellers for this week from the New York Times. At number 1, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. A battered wife, raised in a violent home, attempts to halt the cycle of abuse. At number 2, Verity, also by Colleen Hoover. Loan Ashley is hired by the husband of an injured writer to complete her popular series, and she uncovers a horrifying truth. At number 3, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. A movie icon recounts stories of her loves and career to a struggling magazine writer. I have to say, this book was the basis for a TV series, so I'm sure that's part of why it's so popular, but I'm surprised that the author's most recent work, Malibu Rising, hasn't been on the bestseller list longer than this title. But I'm digressing. Anyway, if you like Taylor Jenkins Reid, read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo if you haven't, or read Malibu Rising. So getting back to the top 5 fiction bestsellers for the week, because of course I'm digressing, at number 4, Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Go Colleen Hoover. And again, I'm digressing. Let me try that again. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Tate Collins and Miles Archer, an airline pilot, think they can handle a no-strings-attached arrangement, and then find out they can't. And at number 5, The Maid by Nita Prose. When a wealthy man is found dead in his room, a maid at the Regency Grand Hotel becomes the lead suspect. Moving on to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers for this week, at number 1, Red-Handed by Peter Schweizer. The author of Profiles in Corruption portrays a conspiracy of how the Chinese government might infiltrate American institutions. At number 2, The 1619 Project, edited by Nicole Hannah-Jones, Caitlin Roper, Elena Silverman, and Jake Silverstein. Viewing America's entanglement with slavery and its legacy in essays adapted and expanded from the New York Times Magazine. At number 3, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. How trauma affects the body and mind, and innovative treatments for recovery. At number 4, The Power of Regret by Daniel H. Pink. A look at 4 core regrets and potential strategies to make them a positive force. And rounding out the top 5, How to Be Perfect by Michael Schur. The creator of The Good Place incorporates works by various philosophers to examine ethical questions and moral issues. And wow, it seems like the American public is in a reflective mood at the moment with The Power of Regret and How to Be Perfect. But that seems to be the era we're living in. It certainly is one where one could reflect. So that's the New York Times bestsellers for this week. And now we're going to jump into the recommended reading, listening, and viewing titles. Our first recommended read for this week is the novel Amy Come Home by Barbara Michaels, who also wrote under the name Elizabeth Peters. Having said that, let me tell you a little about the plot. It begins as a lark, a harmless diversion initiated by Washington, D.C. hostess Ruth Bennett as a means of entertaining her visiting niece Sarah. But the seance, conducted in Ruth's elegant Georgetown home, calls something back, something unwelcome and palpably evil. Suddenly, Sarah is speaking in a voice not her own, transformed into a miserable, whimpering creature so unlike her normal, sensible self. No tricks or talismans will dispel the malevolence that now plagues the inhabitants of this haunted place, until a dark history of treachery, lust, and violence is exposed. But the cost might well be the sanity and the lives of the living. On a reader's note, this is the first book in Michaels's Georgetown trilogy. This one was published in '68, and it was followed in 1986 by Book 2, Shattered Silk, and in 1995 by the third book, Stitches in Time. And Elizabeth Peters wrote under the pen name Barbara Michaels for these slightly supernatural tinge books with a lot of gothic to them. So if you like gothic books, check out Amy Come Home. Moving on to our second recommended read for this week, it's the new Jonathan Kellerman mystery, City of the Dead. Psychologist and police consultant Alex Delaware returns in another LA-based thriller. Delaware's pal, Detective Milo Sturgis, is called to a murder scene where he finds two bodies. He's on the phone right away to Alex to ask for help. One of the murder victims, Cordy Gannett, a self-proclaimed relationship guru, has been brutally stabbed. The other victim, an unidentified young male, is found naked outside Cordy's house with massive head trauma. Alex has encountered Cordy before in a custody battle in which she falsely claimed to be an expert child psychologist. But whatever feelings Alex has about the guru, he and Milo are committed to finding whoever killed her and the mystery man. Delving into Cordy's background, they discover she was a woman trying to make something of herself after a traumatic start in life. As for the male victim, after determining his identity, they learn that his background is similar to Cordy's, and that he's moved to LA to escape his tragic past. As always, Kellerman produces a gripping, readable thriller that combines elements of the police procedural, murder mystery, and psychological thriller genres. That's the Bookless review, and this is a great series to read if you haven't read it before, of course, if you're looking to something to binge read, because there are currently, with this book, 37 titles in this series. This is obviously the most recent. The first book, should you wish to start reading from the beginning, is called When the Bough Breaks. Moving on to our first audiobook recommendation for this week, it's the Colleen Coble novel, Without a Trace. The audio is narrated by Devin O'Day. And here's about the plot. When a plane carrying Bree Nichols' husband and son disappears, her life changes forever. Her relentless determination to find them starts an investigation that links their disappearance to a violent crime threatening to tear the peaceful town of Rock Harbor apart. Mystery fans will love this exciting new series from best-selling author Colleen Coble. Set in the untamed beauty of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, the Rock Harbor series is full of suspense and romance, drawing you into the life and operation of a canine search and rescue team as it unravels the secrets of an enchanting wilderness. And as mentioned, this is the first book in the series, and there are 5 more to date, so check this one out, and then you'll have a few more books to read if you're in the mood for binge reading, or in this case, binge listening. Our second audiobook recommendation for this week is the new Clara Benson mystery, The Murder at Sissingham Hall. And I'm going to pause here and note that both our audiobook recommendations for this week are available as bonus checkouts through Hoopla. And what that means is, as you may know, Hoopla has a checkout limit of 10 items per month, and that's because it's what they call a cost per circ model. But I won't go all acquisitions librarian-y and get into that in depth. Just know that Hoopla allows you to check out 10 items per month unless it's a bonus item, like the 2 audiobook recommendations for this week. And then they don't count towards your 10-item checkout limit per month. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know, send me an email, give me a call, etc. So having said that, let's get back to The Murder at Sissingham Hall. And I should note the audiobook is narrated by Tim Bruce. So about the plot. On his return from South Africa, Charles Knox is invited to spend the weekend at the country home of Sir Neville Strickland, whose beautiful wife Rosamund was once Knox's fiancée. But in the dead of night, Sir Neville is murdered. Who did it? As suspicion falls on each of the house guests in turn, Knox finds himself faced with deception and betrayal on all sides. And only the enigmatic Angela Marchmont seems to offer a solution to the mystery. This 1920s whodunit will delight all fans of traditional country house murder stories. And on a listener's note, this is the first book in the Angela Marchmont mystery series. So check it out if you're in the mood for a cozy set in the 20s, and just know that there will be more books in the series coming along in the near future. My first streaming recommendation for this week is the 2021 film Nightmare Alley, directed by the great director Del Toro and starring Bradley Cooper, Cate Blanchett, and Toni Collette. You can stream this for free, in quotation marks, if you have a subscription to HBO Max, and you can rent it from the usual online and smart TV vendors. Del Toro's Nightmare Alley struggled at the pandemic box office after opening last December, grossing only $10 million in the US. The star-studded noir now arrives on streaming and will hopefully find the audience it deserves. Bradley Cooper stars as a con man who rises through the ranks from downtrodden carnival worker to esteemed illusionist, but not without making a few enemies along the way. Nightmare Alley is nominated for 8 Critics' Choice Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. Variety film critic Peter DeBurge called the film a brava carnival noir, adding The Shape of Water director assembles a dream ensemble for this spectacular sideshow attraction, including Cate Blanchett as the iciest femme fatale we've seen in ages. And as mentioned, that's the Variety review of the film, short Variety review. So if you like gothic and noir, check out the film Nightmare Alley. My second streaming recommendation for this week is the film Love and Mercy from 2014, directed by Bill Polland and starring John Cusack, Paul Dano, and Elizabeth Banks. You can stream this one from HBO Max, and you can rent it through the usual renting suspects. Amazon, Google, Apple TV, etc. Bill Polland shakes up the biographical drama format with Love and Mercy, an intimate look at Beach Boys co-founder Brian Wilson's struggle with mental illness. Screenwriters Oren Moverman and Michael Allen Lerner bounce between two periods of Wilson's life, the 1960s, where he's played by Paul Dano, and the 1980s, where he's portrayed by John Cusack, to create a dialogue between the artistic side and the personal side of Wilson's life. From Variety's original review, quote, "A wonderfully innovating cure for the common musical bio, Bill Polland's Love and Mercy vibrantly illuminates two major breakthroughs in the life of Beach Boys' Brian Wilson. It's miles removed from the cookie-cutter approach taken by so many other rock bios. This finely crafted split portrait should win over music nerds skeptical of yet another complicated life being reduced to a series of highlight reel moments, which I'll grant you is true of a lot of music bios, but I'm digressing. Paul Dano and John Cusack's expert performances should attract an appreciative reception. And that's the Variety overview of the film. My third streaming recommendation for this week is the 2008 film The Wrestler, directed by Darren Aronofsky and starring Mickey Rourke, Marissa Tomei, and Evan Rachel Wood. You could stream this one for free if you have an Amazon Prime subscription or rent it from the usual online vendors. Aronofsky won the Golden Lion Award at the Venice Film Festival with his 2008 psychological sports drama, The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke as a washed-up wrestler who is clinging onto the success he found decades ago, while also trying to mend a broken relationship with his daughter. As Variety wrote in its original review, talk about comebacks. After many years in the wilderness and being considered MIA professionally, Mickey Rourke, just like the washed-up character he plays, attempts a return to the big show in The Wrestler. Not only does he pull it off, but Rourke creates a galvanizing, humorous, deeply moving portrait that instantly takes its place among the great, iconic screen performances. An elemental story, simply and brilliantly told, Aronofsky's fourth feature is a winner from every possible angle. And that overview is also from Variety. I'm on a Variety kick this week. And finally, for a hoopla recommendation for this week, I was looking for a series that I could recommend that you binge watch. And I came across Father Brown, the first 7 seasons of which are available through Hoopla, and I think season 8 is about to show on PBS. So if you want to check out this series, I'm recommending season 1, which is where you would start, but just know that you can find the first 7 seasons through Hoopla. And having told you that, let me tell you a little about the series in case you're new to this series. It's a drama mystery series with a little bit of humor. It stars Mark Williams, who for Harry Potter fans is also known as Mr. Weasley in the Harry Potter films, Arthur Weasley. So having said that, the Father Brown series is based on the stories of G.K. Chesterton, and it follows the crime-solving priest of St. Mary's Catholic Church in the fictional village of Kembleford in the early 1950s. The mild-mannered priest looks unremarkable, but his gentle nature and slightly crumpled look belay a razor-sharp wit and intellect. Father Brown is aided in his crime-solving activities by his parish secretary, Mrs. Bridget McCarthy, who checks his facts and defends him from the frustrations of his congregation and also makes sure he eats. So drama, mystery, and a little bit of humor. Check out Father Brown, available through Hoopla, and the newest season will be available through PBS shortly, either on TV or if you go to pbs.org. If you have questions about this weekly videocast, let me know. Send an email to me and I'll get back to you. My email address is reimerl@stls.org. That's reimerl@stls.org. The library is currently open the following hours: Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are closed on Sundays, but our digital catalogs, including Overdrive, Libby, and Hoopla, not to mention a bunch of really cool databases if you're doing research, those are all open 24/7, 365. If you have questions about any of our digital offerings, please call the library and we'll be happy to tell you all about them. You can also send me an email and I'll tell you all about them. But I digress. Moving right along. The library's website is found at ssclibrary.org, and you see a photo of our website on the left side of your page. If you're looking for research resources available online 24/7, you want to click on the down arrow there on the resources link, which is towards the right-hand corner of our website. You'll see it bordered in red on the screen here, and then you'll get a menu, and you want the third option that says Research and Learning, and that will take you to a page that lists all our databases. If you want the ones that are more academic, scroll all the way to the bottom and click on the list to see all databases. StarCat and its companion app, BookMine. StarCat is the catalog of physical library materials available to all card holders of the public libraries in the Southern Tier Library System. STLS encompasses the public libraries in Steuben, Chemung, Yates, Schuyler, and Allegheny counties. You can find StarCat online at starcat.stls.org, and you can find the BookMine app, which is spelled BOOKMYNE, in your app store. So you can access the catalog to search for print books, DVDs, anytime you want to, from either the website catalog or the app. The digital catalog and its companion app, Libby. The digital catalog is like StarCat, except it offers digital content to all library card holders within the Southern Tier Library System. So that means eBooks, downloadable audiobooks, a handful of streaming videos too. So online you can find the digital catalog at stls.overdrive.com, or you can download the Libby app to your mobile device. Additionally of note, if you have a dedicated e-reader like the Kindle Paperwhite, you can get digital catalog content, also known as Libby content, on your e-reader. But there's a different way to do that. So if you have questions about how to put ebooks on your dedicated e-reader, just know that you can do that. Just call the library or drop by and we will walk you by the steps, which are a little different depending upon which dedicated e-reader you have. Hoopla. The Hoopla catalog features ebooks, comic books, full-length albums, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming videos, including both TV shows and movies. All Hoopla items are available for instant checkout for Southeast Steuben County Library card holders with a maximum of 10 checkouts per card per month. Communicating with the library. If you have a question about library services during the pandemic, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. The library's telephone number is 607-936-3713. And you can also connect with the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Library blogs. We have several of them. We have the Book Club for Adults blog, found at ssclbook.club, and about, you guessed it, the monthly book club for adults. The Corning NY History blog, which is our local history blog featuring weekly postings. That one's found at corningnyhistory.com. We have Creation Stationery, our Makerspace blog, which you can access at creationstationery.com. We also have Storing Musings, a blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells, which is found at storymusings.blogspot.com. And finally, we have Tech and Book Talk, a readers, viewers, and listeners advisory blog, which is found at sscltech.com. And notable, you will also find each episode of Library Connections posted to the blog, usually on Tuesday of the week after they air, episodes airing, of course, on Fridays. And our references over the week. And that's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with a new edition of Library Connections. Have a great week.